Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today is what are we calling this? Martial
Martial
Monday. Oh
Mondays.
yeah, and we've been discussing fighting styles, and we're going to continue that today. Today's fighting style is Druidic Warrior.
Indeed. This is very similar. We talked about the Paladin one, which is Divine Warrior. I would take a guess as to what it does.
Does it give you two Druid cantrips?
It does. It does give
Yeah,
you two Druid cantrips. You
yeah,
learn
but
two
this is
cantrips of your choice from the
specifically
Druid spell list.
for the Ranger, correct?
For only Rangers, that's correct. I think this actually would be a lot more interesting if it were just a fighter. Or like fighter and Ranger, and I wish they also got Divine, so you could be like a little bit of a dip if you want to do a fighter thing. You know, just a little taste of cleric or a little taste of druid as a fighter would be cool. But they're not. They're exclusives. So this is the Ranger exclusive one. Gives you two druid cantrips. Based off how our rating for Divine Warrior went, how do you think this one's gonna go?
I don't remember what we rated that as.
Poorly.
Was it? It wasn't great because the cleric cantrips just aren't that amazing. Was that right? Yeah. Um, I've never been impressed with the druid cantrips, so maybe even less so than cleric. I don't know. There's a couple on there that are okay, I guess, but if I
The list is better, I think, than the cleric cantrips. I think there are a wider variety of options here. I think it's going to fundamentally have most of, if not all of the same problems as the Divine Warrior has. And that is that it is really difficult to give up a fighting style that is so crucial to defining what the martial characters do for these cantrips. And if you wanted the cantrips and didn't want the fighting style, probably better off just playing a druid,
yeah,
right?
probably better off anyway.
Yeah.
It's yeah, rangers have a tough time, and if I'm playing a ranger, I don't know. I want guidance to be somebody else's problem.
Yeah. I will say, I think it's Blessed Warrior, not Divine Warrior. The one the
Right.
paladins get that gives them
Bless
cleric
warrior. Yeah.
cantrips. Yeah. Guidance is a druid cantrip that can be taken this way. And like Blessed Warrior, if you go from not having guidance in the party to having guidance in the party, that is a pretty big deal. That is a pretty big boon out of combat. Rangers already do get a lot of out of combat features though, as far as like navigating the world, so they're not necessarily as hard pressed as paladins are to have world exploration tools, that they don't necessarily don't need to lean on cantrips to do that for them if that's what they want. They do have better opportunities though here. I don't hate Druidcraft, I don't hate Gust, I don't hate Shape Water or any of the Mold Earth, any of the cosmetic cantrips, what I typically call them, the cantrips that sort of imbue a feeling within a character. You want to be closer connected to wind, if you want to be closer connected to earth, or you want to be more druidic, you wanted to make flowers bloom at your feet as you wander about the place and want to feel super floral and phage, this is a way to do that on your rangers. I do think there's going to be an non-zero amount of people that want that. This is a way to do that on top of getting guidance. That's, I think, a pretty
I
reasonable
think
floor.
those people are playing druids.
They should be.
Yeah.
They could, like, you can still get a short bow on a druid, I'm pretty sure, and do close to the ranger thing anyway. So it's not, you definitely, I definitely think if you do want that flavor, it'll likely be better off to play a full caster, and druids are that full caster you should be playing. But if you still really want to play the ranger, if you're like, I want to be Strider, but I want to be Strider that is also a fairy, this is a way you could conceivably do that.
Um,
That's kind of where it ends, though.
all right, so you like this specifically for cosmetic cantrips. Like
Plus
there's
guidance.
nothing, or yeah, so nothing actually, aside from guidance, useful.
Whenever you have access to a longbow and you're getting a high dex anyway, it's really hard to justify any of the damaging options. Like,
Yeah.
Vine's a 10-foot pool, which is kind of neat. But that's not... Rangers don't have a really deep well of resources that they can spend to set up good Thornwhip interactions, but maybe that's something you care about. You've got Magic Stone, which is worse because it's using your Wisdom modifier than your Dex mod is to make a bunch of range attacks with rocks.
You get magic stone and shillelagh. You got a magic rock or a magic stick.
I think if you want to be that character, so like Shillelagh is neat in that it works with multi-attack, right? You can use your spellcasting ability instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of the weapon, which means if you're making 2 attacks and you want to be the Wisdom Ranger, where you just say, screw strength, screw dex, I'm maxing my Wiz score first, You can make multi-attack with Shillelagh. If you want to play the Shillelagh character, this is the fighting style for you. That's going to be a literal side grade to an unaugmented regular longsword. Like you could just have or better yet, that's going to be just a side grade to a regular quarterstaff because you just have a 16 strength and a regular quarterstaff that you're multi-attacking with. The upside there is now your spells are slightly better. I don't think that's a particularly big upside, but it's a route you can go. Maybe you want to be the most Shillelagh character that's ever Shillelagh'd. We figured it out. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're looking for a meme build, if you're looking for a build that necessarily is like you've been doing the power gaming thing for a while and you want to try and challenge yourself to play a lower powered character at a table with people that are playing average lower powers, but you still want to try and like get the most juice for the squeeze, saying I'm going to maximize the effectiveness of a single cantrip like Shillelagh, that's a route you could go with this. That seems not unusable to me. That seems like a fun direction to explore. If you're going for like, if you're an average person approaching the ranger class and saying, I want a variety of things to do, this doesn't really, I don't think, help you that much. I think you would much rather have archery. I think you'd much rather have any of the other fighting styles that will empower what you're doing regularly in combat. If you want to do the regular ranger thing of shoot things with a longbow, you're almost always taking archery over this. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any of these that are getting me excited. I'm looking at the Druid cantrip list, and yeah, you know me, I'm not a power gamer. I'm always a sucker for free spells, but this, no, thank you.
I think the particularly difficult part about it is cantrips are supposed to be the full caster's way to stretch their resources and long quantity of his encounters to keep up with what martial characters are doing with their regular attacks to some level, right? They're not supposed to be as good as the martial attacks. They're supposed to just let them feel like they're still contributing while the ranger's making 2 attacks, while the fighter's making 3 attacks, while other people are happening and they're running low on spells, right? It's just something that keeps it's the last gas in the tank at the very long end of the upper tier stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to have to use them, but if you have to use them, this is not going to be the worst case scenario. That means if you're a paladin or a ranger, you already have the better thing, right? The thing that the clerics, that the druids and clerics don't want to have to do, you don't need, because you have the option that's better than it. You have the regular weapon attacks that you're good at. And that means if we knock all those off as options you're not really interested in, you're only left with the utility ones. If you don't need the utility ones or want the utility ones, then you're just... And if you do want those, you have to ask, is that trade-off something that I'm willing to do? Is making the attack rolls worse? And this does make your attack rolls worse comparatively. So it's... I'm glad... Like, again, I think this one is better than Blessed Warrior. I think it's better than Blessed Warrior by a lot, because this cantrip list is a lot better than the Cleric cantrip list. I could conceivably see myself taking even things like Shapewater, Shillelagh. I could see myself taking something even occasionally like is Thunderclap is... That's not the AoE one, is it? It is. Thunderclap is everything around you takes a d6 damage. I could see there being characters that would put that on their sheet as an extra way to expand out their combat utility, kind of like Word of Radiance on Blessed Warrior. I could see people that would take not Infestation, Guidance and Druidcraft, all the cosmetics. I could see those existing on those characters. Even Create Bonfire being a concentration duration effect. You can set down a Create Bonfire underneath something and then pepper it with arrows for every other round. That's not the worst thing ever. It's not going to be that consistent, and you don't really have great ways to lock down that area, but it's an option that you have at your disposal. It's not better than all other fighting styles, though, whenever it comes to empowering you in combat, and that's what you really need out of your fighting style.
Yeah, I mean, it's called a fighting style. This doesn't even feel like a fighting style. This is more of a feat.
Yeah. If you're not doing the archery thing, Rangers get 2-weapon fighting, throw weapon fighting, dueling, Druidic Warrior defense, blind fighting, and archery. So, like, let's say you want to do a Great Weapon Master Ranger kind of deal where you're attacking with great swords for some reason. There aren't great fighting styles for you, so maybe you take this. Just because none other ones exist. Like, I think I take this over defense every time. So it's got that going for it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I guess this might work for... I mean, yeah, if it comes down to defense or this, certainly, if that's the reason to take it. But I don't know. I guess I could see if you put a lot of thought into a specific little trick or gimmick that you're trying to do, and one of these spells fits into that. Yeah, I haven't given that much thought to it, and I probably won't. not
Most
for
people, I don't think, are putting a
yeah.
lot of thought and effort into the Shillelagh Ranger build. Like, I don't think that's happening
But
really at
yeah,
all,
see,
Bob. Don't worry, it's not
I
just
don't think
you.
Shillelagh is going to be the one for that. Maybe they want to do something cool with shape water. God, yeah, I'm sure there's builds out there.
You can build around most of these cantrips in some way or another. I also think, like, if you're in the department to do something cool with your character, Fog Cloud plus blind fighting is a thing that Rangers can do at second level. That's pretty cool. You can actually reasonably set up your own blind fighting if you wanted to use the fighting style on it. And if you wanted to do kind of like an off-the-wall wacky Ranger utility thing, having blind sight is a really unique, meaningful thing that you could choose to have over things your druid can do, over things your most clerics can do, over things that the bards can do, over what the full casters are better at universally. And if you want to do those things better, you should probably just be playing one of those classes and not dipping into Ranger for it. That's where I think Druidic Warrior ultimately always will end up landing, much like Blessed Warrior. If you wanted to have the cantrips, if you want to be the more magical version of this class, it's pointing you directly at it. You should just go playing that class instead of this. If you want to be doing
even a one
the weapon
level dip
attackers,
in the druid, that's going to get you your cantrips.
it's going to get you better. It's also going to give you more spell slots,
Hmm.
and that's pretty meaningful. And listen, multiclassing past 6 levels past 5th levels pretty good. It's weird to me. A lot of the bulk features in this game, like the good stuff, happens in the first 5 levels, and it's almost like if you take the next 15 levels, you cut half of them out, and that would be like meaningful steps of progression where you start getting like actual interesting features, like basically every other level. And that's where you can just say instead, well, I'm just gonna get other cool features that are in the low tiers, so I know I'm getting something powerful every time I take it, and that's decent enough. Multiclassing tends to be pretty powerful, and I would recommend it to things like Ranger unless you have a really, really high desire for their top subclass capstone features, because let me tell you, their top features as far as their core class goes, they're not great. So you're really encouraged to multiclass when you play Rangers. If you're doing that anyway, you don't need Druidic Warrior.
All right, well, you got a rating for this one?
I think this is a 2. I think there will be enough Rangers where you'll say, I don't want to do the archery Ranger thing, and none of the other ones speak to me. I'm going to take a Druidic Warrior, and then you're going to pick up a utility cantrip like Guidance and be happy with that, and you'll take a cosmetic cantrip to make you really feel a specific way, and that person may really love that character because that is doing what they want. It is the image and the thematics of what their character wants to do. If you are playing a Ranger that is doing the typical Ranger thing, though, you're almost always taking Thrown Weapon, 2-weapon, or Archery. Like, those are just the 3 that you take on Ranger. That is where this actually falls, I think, the vast majority of the time.
Yeah,
it's not usable because those exist.
I think a 2 is generous. Like, even if you want the fantasy, dip into Druid. I can't think of a single reason to take this fighting
The
style.
Shillelagh build I talked about.
Yeah,
The Wisdom Ranger.
Dip into Druid.
I don't want to do it as a Druid, but I want to do it as a Ranger.
You're
to
not.
say I did it for style points.
All right. That's all right. No, you have not convinced me this time.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
holding firm.
I think 1 is not unreasonable. I think that
yes, it's a 1.
Yes, I think there are enough Druid cantrips. Like, I will tend to give things 2 where I can say I can envision myself putting this on a character sheet. I can envision this going on one of my own character sheets that's very much theme based. If you're going for an average Ranger, this is almost unusable.
I'm not sure. This may be the first time that I've given something a 1 that you haven't also given a 1.
No.
But yeah, go.
You really hated Augury. I think you gave Augury a 1 and I didn't.
Oh, all right, that could be the case. All right, well, there it is. That was Druidic Warrior. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments. Have you put this on your character? Would you? Why?
Over Archery? Really?
Well, like I said, that's just it. Even if you don't want to be the archery ranger, still not this one.
Yeah.
All right, that's that. That was Druidic Warrior.
Druidic Warrior.
Thank you. Comment. Goodbye.
Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.